Hey, this is Chase from ShotScience.com, and welcome to our introductory video on defense. It's Defense 101. Welcome to the classroom. Now, when we talk about defense, it's important to start with a couple key elements. The first being the feet, because that's the foundation of our defensive stance. Now, a lot of coaches will teach a staggered defensive stance, where you have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. Especially if we have a left-handed offensive player or a right-handed offensive player and they don't have much of an offhand, they'll usually stagger the feet to force them one direction. Well, we don't think this is a great way to play defense. What we like to teach is something called mirror the three-point line. And what that essentially means is that our feet should be the same angle as the three-point line. Now, with that foot positioning where we're mirroring the three-point line, we're squared up to the defender so that they don't have an advantage going one way or the other. One of the big advantages of squaring up to the offensive player is that there's no longer a foot for them to attack. If they attack our top foot, then we have to open up and it takes a lot of time to pivot and that defender's already by us. So when we open up and square to the offensive player, we can really move our feet and shut down any lanes that offensive player might have. The second important element about a basic defensive stance is where we're centered on the offensive player. So a lot of coaches teach that you want to be squared up with the offensive player's center line. We disagree. We think that we should be squared up with the shoulder of the ball side. So if the offensive player is holding the ball in the right hand, we want to be squared up over their right shoulder. Because if the ball is in the right hand, they're only going to drive right. They're not going to drive back to their left. And we'll get into more of why that's the case later in the video. Now, with our center line squared up with the shoulder of the ball side of the offensive player, we give us an extra step to where they're likely to drive. So they're likely going to drive right if the ball's on the right-hand side. It gives us an extra step to cut them off. Now, if they rip the ball back through the left side, then we shift our defensive stance to center over their left shoulder so that we have a step in that direction. Another crucial element to the defensive stance is the stance itself, or our posture. Now, a lot of coaches teach to get low, and you've probably heard that before. You do want to get low so that you have a low center of gravity and you can move quickly to get back in front of the defender. So how do we get to this position? Well, first we have to have bent knees. We have to sit down in the chair and drop our butt down to the floor. And then we want to make sure that our back is straight in a neutral spine. So we can't have our back bent too far forward. We can't have our back arched too far back. So we want to make sure we have that nice, straight, neutral spine. Now, that neutral spine and bent knee position where we're sitting down in a chair will give us a great position to move quickly and stay low compared to the offensive player.